Today we have an exciting guest with an exciting job. Rick, welcome to the podcast, mate. Welcome to London. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me. Clearing out a load of stuff at the house, and it was an old book from when I was like 6 or something, and I'd written, when I grow up, I want to be a stuntman. I did a film called Ghost Rider about 10 or 12 years ago, doubling Nick Cage on there, jumping off of vehicles onto other vehicles and all that, and then I got to do all the riding and just play a cool character. Mission Impossible 5, we did the motorcycle chase on there.
I felt like the Terminator, the pain, my body was shaking.
So this is Skyfall, where I had to flip, I think it was like a CRF 250. When you're crashing, you're going into all like spice stores and like fruit and veg and all that. I came down like on my coccyx and my backside, and yeah, I've got this picture of my backside, and it's literally like purple.
I've burnt through my levers before, literally
really?
Into my bone. Yeah, and had to have it scrubbed out with a toothbrush.
You know, you get one shot at it. It's a lot of pressure. He was really keen for it not to be portrayed as the Twilight guy in a batsuit.
Boom, boom, Danny Buchan. What a ride this is, and it is on!
Hello guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Pushing the Limit podcast with me, Danny Buchan. Today we have an exciting guest with an exciting job, I would say. Anyway, Rick, welcome to the podcast, mate. Welcome to London. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, managed to get hold of you finally. We was literally just discussing how bad we both are with our phones, so I don't know how we even made this happen.
I know, 1 million WhatsApp messages, 27 Instagram messages,
Yeah.
and a
Twitter.
little cheeky text, yeah.
I literally Instagram messaged you saying that I WhatsApped you, didn't know how to be here. I was like, mate, I've WhatsApped you, answer your message. Oh, yeah.
If you hadn't done that, I honestly wouldn't have seen that until tomorrow probably. But
I'm actually hopeless over my phone, and it's something that I don't know, but I think it was Brad Binder, like obviously MotoGP rider. He was saying the same thing. I think Jack Miller said it as well. Like they are just completely hopeless with their phone.
Yeah.
I think you just get to a point where it goes off so much that you just turn off your notifications and just can't be bothered. It
is that, and it's also that I just see everybody else just stuck to their phones all the time, and I'm determined not to do it. I'll check it like once or twice a day, and there's like 10,000 things on there that I should have probably answered about.
Have you lost any work from it? Have you missed any job?
Probably. Probably people just don't even bother messaging me anymore. That's what it is.
I've definitely lost furniture jobs because I haven't answered. Mate, I had £1 million contract there. Nah, sorry, mate. Yeah. I didn't answer. Right, so yeah, welcome, obviously, to the podcast. Why motorbikes? Obviously, you're massively invested in motorbikes, aren't you? And I guess, yeah, where did it start?
My dad was always into bikes and stuff. My granddad was into bikes. My great-granddad was into bikes. And so, yeah, it's something that my dad did. Like, he used to live in Lincolnshire and stuff, and they would have these cafe races and literally race between different points, literally on the roads and stuff. And then, anyway, basically, when he grew up, he was a policeman, and so he was a motorcycle policeman. My dad was.
From breaking the law to monitoring the law.
So I wasn't one of those guys that because a lot of kids at school and that used to get like step-throughs, like little pedal and pops and stuff, and then go ride them in the woods. And it was like my dad that used to chase them and stuff. So I never did that. I started a bit later, kind of probably when I was about 15 or so, just on the field on bikes and stuff like that. And then I didn't start like club racing until I was in my early 20s. Really, and then found out I want that good at it, or that competitive. I liked it, you know, and I enjoyed it, and I thought technically I was all right, but I was never one of those guys that was like super fast straight away and stuff. And I got more into the trick riding and that kind of stuff. I was already training for the stunt register at that time, so I'd already decided I wanted to be a stunt performer generally, because I don't just do bikes, I do a bit of everything. So I do a bit of fighting, falling, fires, explosions, all the fun
manly.
Stuff. Yeah.
Every sad geezer.
Yeah, I don't do horses.
Yeah, burn it.
Yeah, so I was already training for the stunt registers and stuff, and so just did a bit of club racing then, and then just switched more to doing like trick riding and all that kind of stuff. But I like riding anything.
Yeah, and what about, so you grew up in Lincolnshire? You say,
I did.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and obviously, like, so you used to rip around on the little. Well, your mates used to rip around on the little bikes.
Yeah,
and you weren't allowed. Your dad was like, mate, nah.
Well, I just couldn't. I just didn't want to get caught by my dad. No, I wasn't majorly into them when I was young, to be honest. I always thought they were cool, but it was something that it was kind of a bit of a different time, and nothing seemed as accessible then. Like if one of the kids at school was racing motocross, that was a big deal. Like it seemed like he was the only kid in the whole school that had a motorbike at age 10 or 11 or something. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't something that I really considered I could ever do, to be honest.
It's funny you say that, actually, because nobody even, like, I used to race motocross from like 6 years old all the way through school. Like, some of the kids I went to secondary school with, I went to primary school with, and they'd be like, oh, well, you race bikes? I'm like, man, I've done it for like the last 10 years. Like, where have you been? Like, and I'd be like off for like weeks because I had a cut on my knee with 28 stitches and I didn't show up for school for like weeks because I was obviously like bedbound. Oh, you still race bikes? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. And then like when I become professional, they was like, oh, you still race bikes? And I'm like, yes. Like, where have you been for the last? I know, that's all I've ever done.
I can do.
But it is quite funny, yeah. But it is like that, isn't it? And I guess when you're young, like, it's like the motocross and all that kind of thing. Obviously, we're going to talk about your profession now. And so when did you decide? What was you doing before you decided to go into the stunt riding world? Like, what was you doing did you leave school and then fall into work? Like, what was you up to?
Actually, I remember I used to watch loads of like. Do you remember The Fall Guy or anything like that? There was a TV series called The Fall Guy. Basically, it used to be on Saturday afternoons, and it was Lee Majors playing like a stunt guy who was also a bounty hunter in his spare time and stuff. It was a good TV series. It used to be on like same as the A-Team and that on a Saturday afternoon. And so I was watching that, and then there was a Burt Reynolds film called Hooper as well, where he plays a Hollywood stuntman and stuff. And I remember watching both of those, and I wrote in my mum just showed me it the other day, actually. They were clearing out a load of stuff at the house, and it was an old book from when I was like 6 or something, and I'd written, when I grow up, I want to be a stuntman in it. And then, but it's one of those things that kind of got lost through school and everything. So I carried on with school, was always doing loads of sports and that kind of stuff. And then when I left school, I decided to go to London and be a personal trainer, but I also wanted to get into movie stuff and everything. But I thought I was going to be like the new Jean-Claude Van Damme. I thought I was going to be like a movie star who'd do like fighting as well, because I was big into martial arts as well at the time. Been doing that since I was kind of 6 years old. So I moved to London specifically to do that, but then started, riding more and more because it's what I love doing more than anything. And trained and got on the British Stunt Register. I've been on like 20 years now, over 20 years.
That's impressive, yeah. And how hard is that to, like, we've obviously spoke about it outside of here. Yeah. And like, how many disciplines is it? Like, let's just like have a little chat about
six.
that.
So basically, it's 6 disciplines at quite a high level. So you'd be looking at, if you were using motorcycle racing as one of your disciplines, you'd be expected to be running, at least top 10 in national, or probably higher than that. Or if you're looking at martial arts, it's the equivalent of a black belt in martial arts, and then everything else that you choose is an equivalent kind of standard of that. And you need 6 different things across various sort of categories.
It takes, that's a long time, isn't it? Like, I know that most, like, if you said to somebody, I'm going to go and get a job, like, but you're training for your job, aren't you? Like, it's not like if you're an insurance broker starting at the bottom, eventually 5 years you might be on this much salary. Like, with that, you kind of start and you have to kind of work everything else out. While you're training to do what you're doing.
It's one of those things. A lot of guys sort of say to me, I wouldn't mind doing that, I'll have to have a go at it or whatever. And I'm like, you need to know that that's exactly what you want to do, because it'll just take your life over. And it's so much, like, financially and time-wise and everything. And it's good though.
The martial arts
if
side
you're
of it,
into it.
All of it, really. Like, I'm majorly impressed by the whole job. Like, I looked at... just having a look on Instagram before, and like just seeing the people who practice the falls, like we was just talking to you, like doing the falling stuff, like how meticulous, and like they make it so like it looks like it doesn't hurt, like the way they were falling onto mattresses, if you like, but like obviously gymnastic ones, and it was just so impressive, and it was like just like meticulous, and I was like, you just practice falling all day, or you practice jumping, or you practice.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stunt guys that come from like a gymnastic background, so they've got good kind of aerial awareness. They know how to, for example, trampoline. If you choose trampoline as one of your things, when you start trampolining, one of the first things you learn is to get yourself out of trouble, because if it's all going wrong and you've just, you're going to land on your head, then they'll just spin and turn onto their back and stuff. And so it's just having that awareness to kind of survive a fall kind of thing.
That is something I genuinely have not got, is if I am upside down on a trampoline, I don't know where I am.
That is most people, to be fair.
I try it. I like show off. Like I took my daughter to like the trampoline place. So I'm Daddy's going to do a backflip. Watch this. And I'm that dad that just lands on his neck and he's in a pickle. I still keep trying. I still have a go, but do you know I am that dad?
That's hilarious.
And my daughter just sits there and she expects it. She just goes like 5 years old. Like,
I need to come and watch that. 100%.
But how. Like, it is a niche industry, really, isn't it? I know there's probably a lot more people coming through now, like you say, but to remain at the top, man, it's like, because I guess you've got such a name in the industry for being so good at it.
A lot of the guys that I came through with and that I started performing with, they're coordinating now. That's kind of the natural progression for it, is to, rather than being the guy falling over, it's the guy that points to the other guys where he wants them to fall over and constructs the sequences and looks after safety and all that stuff. But I just want to keep this going as long as I can, you know. It's like if you didn't want to step up into race management or whatever, you wanted to keep riding, because the reason you got into motorcycle racing is because you like riding your motorcycle, so you try and extend that as long as you can, and that's basically what I'm trying to do, just by keeping myself sort of healthy and fit and able to do my job. So hopefully I can keep going.
Well, that's actually another question of mine. Is like for people sat at home listening, maybe don't know too much about it, like the intensity of your program, like. Obviously, you keep yourself very fit. You eat very clean.
Yeah.
The training side of things, like how often you stay on a motorbike. Like we was talking before, like you might be required to rock up on a set, and you get given an old dive of a bike, and they go, mate, just you got to wheelie that like 200 meters or whatever it is, and you go, I need to practice, and you have to have that skill set where you can just get yourself on a bike and throw it up, and it's not easy to do. On our bike, super bikes, easy. Wheeling the motorbike, you've got so much power, haven't you? You've got no aids, like. But with what you have to ride,
I always try and get a little heads up beforehand of what am I going to be riding, what surface is it on, what am I wearing, you know, are you wetting down all that stuff can properly stitch you up. Like say if you give you a bike with 20 horsepower and you know, or big Harley or something that's like got crazy geometry or something, and they go, hey, go for a stoppy, you know, I want you to stoppy through here, and you're just like, won't do it.
No, 150 kilos over the back wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just lock up.
It just won't do it. So I try and get a bit of a heads up. But yeah, I just try and ride as much stuff as I can, as many different types of bikes, as many different styles of riding as I can, because that's part of our job, really. It's not to, like, say we were doing a film where it was road racing style movie. I don't have to learn to be a road racer. I have to learn to look like I know what I'm doing, and to sell that to everyone. No, still not. But I just have to be able to imitate the style and everything. It doesn't. The lap times don't necessarily matter. It just has to look fast. It just has to be goon riding. Yeah.
And how the hell do you get good at falling off? Like, because obviously there's been films I've seen obviously on your Instagram. Yeah. Like where you've had to just literally ride a bike along a road and like be hit off by a door or something like that.
Same
like,
way you've probably got quite good at falling off,
mate. But that's the thing, I am really good at it. But we try so hard not to fall off.
I know.
You literally are told, mate, you've got to ride that bike up there. What sort of speeds are you? I know it
varies really. Lay down or something. Don't know. 30, 40 miles an hour. It depends what they want. Up to, you know, I've done them at sort of 60, 70 miles an hour as well, just like a rear brake, that lay down.
And knowing you have to crash the bike, that's the thing that cracks me up. Is it's like we go out and race and people go, oh, you can crash, but 9 times out of 10 you stay on. And you're trying very, very doubly hard to not crash, whereas you are literally told, right, mate, there's a bike, go and smash yourself up.
Yeah, that's literally the point of the exercise a lot of the time. So yeah, for me, I like to think of it as a technique thing. So I have a mark in the road. At that point, I'm going to hit the brake, turn the bars here, and then the crash kind of happens by itself. If you do those certain things on a bike, the crash will happen by itself. And then for me, once the bike's down or I'm away from the bike, like if I'm in a car or something, once I'm away from the bike, then it's just the same as any other. That's what we was talking about before, like aerial awareness of looking after yourself in the roll and the, you know, once the ground's coming towards you, then it's the same as if you'd done it off a trampoline or, you know, off a wire or whatever. Then once the bike's gone, then you've done the bike bit and it's into the physical kind of tumbling and falling and stuff.
Do you practice much trampolining now? Like, do you ever get out as much?
Not so much. We've got a trampoline at home that I'll just play with. I stopped trampolining properly probably about 10 years ago, I reckon. There's a lot of younger, newer guys who are way better at that kind of stuff, and the same with gymnastics and stuff. I'll still do bits and pieces, but I stopped tumbling like 15 years ago or more, because there's guys that are way better built for it, and that's literally their one thing. Yeah, I do it just to help a bit with everything else, but it's few and far between now, because the risk of injuries is just massive from that stuff, you know.
It looks so good. I wish I got into it when I was younger, gymnastics, because the strength, like the capabilities that you put your body through, like everything that you can physically do, like there's strength in it, like the natural strength you have to have. And I guess coming from, like, my friend actually used to be a gymnast, and he was like a little Michelin man. He was so ripped up.
They're so strong in you know, in these ridiculous positions, holding crosses and stuff and planches and stuff like that is just crazy body strength. And yeah, I'm pretty jealous of it as well, to be fair.
Weirdly, I watched a thing the other day called Physical 100 on Netflix.
I've been watching. I watch that in the gym always. I always put it on in my Netflix.
Did you see the hanging when I had to do? And the
first...
gymnast finished second, didn't he? The SAS or the equivalent out there. He
just outminded him.
He just said,
basically.
didn't he? I'm hanging off things all the time, mate. I've got this.
Yeah,
and I was
he's
like,
been hanging off helicopters.
I know.
With death below him probably for.
But the mindset, innit? Like for me, that when I watch that, the things like I pick up on a lot of things, probably overlook things and look really deeply into things like when I'm watching it. But I was like, mate, the mindset, because this is now about mindset. This isn't about. They're fatigued, they're gone, their arms are gone, but who's going to win?
I know.
And it was like the gymnast guy was kind of like, it's okay for me to finish second, where the other guy, it wasn't an option.
Yeah, it wasn't an option. As soon as he saw there was 2 of them left as well, he's just looking at him.
And the other guy turned away, didn't he? And he's like, he's turning away. Yeah, in Korean,
Yeah, it's hard to watch with the subtitles and the crazy dubbing over the top, but it's an interesting show for sure. Yeah, I like it.
I like it because I like seeing people like push through their physical capabilities. Like even with racing, like I guess like the preparation for racing, you push yourself hard. Like you push yourself hard, don't you? Training. Is that something you just feel like you need to do to keep yourself like in the game, keep yourself prepared?
Yeah, and I never want to have any regrets with any job that I've done. I don't want to turn up at a job and think I could have done a better job if I'd trained a bit harder or ridden a bit more or practiced this a bit more. So I try and just give myself the best chance that I can. And I say same as races and everything. If you make sure you're in the best shape you can, you've done all your pre-season, you've put the hours in on the bike, you've done everything you can, then you can't have any regrets then when it gets to the race or the season and think I should have done that or I should have done that. It's the worst thing for me is to think that I'm going to think I should have done more. So I just try and do as much as I can, but it's hard as well because you're trying to make sure that you're not overdoing it because you don't want to compromise your performance the next day. If I'm going motocross tomorrow and I did a big leg or arm session today, I'm going to compromise then what I'm doing tomorrow. So I've always in the back of my mind when I'm training got what have I got coming up this week? Am I going to compromise what I can do at work or what I can do in my riding and stuff? So it is a bit of a balance, whereas I just used to go flat out all the time and then wonder why I could do 2 laps on the motocross track before I had to pull in with horrendous arm pump and properly like muscle fatigued. It's because I was starting from such a fatigued level already, kind of thing. So I'm sure it's the same for you. You've got to build up to that race weekend. You can't just go flat out.
Definitely, yeah. We have you'll have like a structure just before the race weekend. So like you obviously like sort of taper off as any person would do running. It's one thing I hate about motorbike racing is that like you can never leave. Like if you could leave a weekend and go, right, do you know what? Everything I did was right, but like this went wrong. Like I like the fact, if you prepared for a marathon, and you got your 8, 10, 12 week marathon training plan, you've done the hours, you're going to run a marathon at a competitive time, you know what it feels like pushing at that limit, and if you don't do it, you blame yourself. Like I hate that about racing, that you can't always, it's not always just you personally, but then there's other things around it, there's other factors.
There's stuff you can't control, but you can only do your job.
And you can turn up the fittest, the mentally prepared the most, everything can be literally perfect, but your sprocket could come loose on your bike or your throttle could stick. I don't know, there's loads of other things.
But I guess as long as same as me, as long as you know that you did everything you could and you haven't let your team down, something's just happened and that's what happens.
Karma and luck, mate. That's
literally,
do you
believe in luck?
100%.
No.
And karma, I could not, mate, I am so bad. Yeah, like with anything to do with karma, I don't have bad karma come anywhere near me.
Have you got like lucky pants and all that?
No, I wear a chain. No, I don't. Yeah, lucky pants. No, nothing like that. But I just make sure that like if I went to a supermarket and something happened and there was 40 quid short, I don't know, whatever, I'd go and pay the 40 quid. Like there's not a chance in hell I would do anything to play with the to into the realms of karma. I don't need that bad karma. So if you brought any with you, mate. But that's with the stunt riding as well. Obviously, being the fitter you are, the easier. Like with racing, you want to be strong. So if you do crash, you're more resilient, aren't you? And I guess like with another aspect of the fitness level is that, isn't it? Like you have
definitely.
To throw
and
yourself...
flexibility as well. There's like you say, if you crash and you're really tight, especially guys like me and you, we're over 6 foot and got long levers. And I tend to I've suffered a lot in the past from bike crashes with ligament injuries in my knees and stuff, because your ankle will hit the floor and it'll just torque your knee out. And it's a big kind of problem. But the more, the fitter you are, the more you're used to working in those extreme ranges of movement, you can kind of cope with being thrown on the floor by your bike and getting away with it a bit.
You
better,
can be
I
too
think.
flexible though. Look at Marquez with his shoulder. Oh,
Yeah,
Ah.
there's a fine line between flexibility and instability, really, and you've got to make sure you work both. You've got to work the range of movement. You've also got to strengthen what's keeping everything in place, kind of thing. But
and what's been your most exciting film you've worked on? Like, what's been your most exciting? Obviously, like, what looks the coolest from my perspective was that Batman when you had to dress up. That looks so cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a kind of bucket list job and a kind of once in a career kind of thing. The most fun I had fun. I did a film called Ghost Rider about 10 or 12 years ago, doubling Nick Cage on there.
I watched it.
Did you?
Yeah. Is he the one? Is he's driving the? He's got the big American. He's got the big American cars, and is that Ghost Rider when he's chopping the cars in and that? He's a bit of a criminal in the film. Is that not it?
No, I think that's Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, wrong film, man.
It's the right
Nicolas
actor. It's the
Cage.
right actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a superhero movie.
I just got
basically.
kudos as well for chucking out names of actors.
I was just
going to
let you go with it.
You
yeah,
should have
but,
just let me.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
That's
mate.
it,
It was
no,
wicked.
everyone's like, no, it's not. Yeah.
No, it's like a Marvel superhero. He's got like a skull for a head that's on fire, and he rides around on a big motorcycle.
I've
basically.
definitely seen it. I've definitely have.
It didn't turn out as the best movie, but it was one of the best experiences I had because, I was doing all the physical kind of stuff, all the fighting and jumping off of vehicles onto other vehicles and all that. And then I got to do all the riding and just play a cool character. And it was a really good time. Filmed over in like Romania, like Transylvania and stuff, and just amazing landscapes and just riding every day. That was cool. And then Mission 5 was a big job for me as well. Mission Impossible 5. We did the motorcycle chase on there. And it's very rare that you get to do a motorcycle chase on like sports bikes. They're always usually like supermotos or motocross bikes or on naked street bike kind of things. But to do one where they're actually kind of quoting that they wanted it to look like Marquez lean angles and this and that on there, it was it was challenging for sure. It was fun though. But and I met a lot of good people on there, to be honest.
What bikes were they on that one?
They were BMW S1000s.
So it's when Tom's the picture of Tom is on the S1000, the black one, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
then in the background, that's me high siding the bike behind him in the background, and that's a real picture that it's on. I think it's on the DVD cover. He's riding this S1000. And he's got like sunglasses on, and
that's the thing. That's the image I have in my head.
Yeah. And then over his shoulder, he's just nudged me basically, and I've high sided the bike, and it's in the background of this, and it's a real shot. It's not a comp. It's not like we filmed Tom and then filmed me. We had a camera looking over Tom's shoulder basically, and then as I got to the mark, we just high sided the bike on there, and it was cool.
It's funny because like the skill set that it requires to do that properly.
The stupidity.
But it's not. But I know the stupidity. But the skill set to do that. Not only have you got to smash a bike up, not only have you got to crash, you've got to make it look good for the because if it doesn't look good, you have another take, don't you? Do they limit you on takes, or do you just
limit myself? No.
Do you have to?
It depends what it is. Something like that will normally put multiple cameras on it, and you'll know that chances are you'll probably pick up some sort of injury off of it, so you'd try and limit the amount of times you're going to do it. It's like anything. The more times you do it, the more chance you've got of one of them catching you out or something happening that can go bad. So we only did that one once, but I'm always prepared for a second take, and it does happen quite often where they'll say, we could do with going wider on this camera, or this was mistimed, or it was slightly short of the mark or whatever. So you'll end up going again. But that was a one take deal. That one.
Yeah, it's funny because one of our mutual friends, James, is working on something at the minute, and he had to crash a bike, didn't he? And he said he said, it hurt me so much. The first one, it looked really painful, and he was like, it really hurt, man. And he said, I'm still really sore today. Yeah, and he had to go back and do it straight away.
He did a really good job actually, and he did a good job of hiding the fact that it really you just kind of get up and then you kind of sneak off set a little bit, and then you evaluate yourself, and you're like, right, I'm all right actually, and because you always say you're all right, and because that's just what you do. And normally most stuff's sort of superficial, and within a couple of minutes you're like, I can do that again kind of thing. So
I had that Brands Hatch end of 2021, whatever it might have been, I think it was 21, and my wife and my two kids are up in the box watching at turn 1, and I clipped the back of Christian and went down. She's so big. and the pain in my ankles. But I knew my kids were watching, and I sort of hit the back of his bike, and I was like, I could just see black where I was in the air fence, and I was like, get up. Just get up. You've just got to get up. You can't lay here because your kids are watching. They weren't.
Yeah.
My little girl was at the back,
probably
probably drawing, and my son was
just
probably at the buffet. My son, because he loves a bit of food, and Steph's up there like, oh god, like she didn't want him to see, obviously, and I'm just like, get up, and I felt like the Terminator. The pain, my body was shaking, where I was like, the adrenaline was just going mad, and I was in so much pain. I was just like, keep walking, and I was like, my legs were shaking. My ligaments in my ankles. It was so much pain, but yeah, it's like how you can push your body, can't you? Like,
yeah, you can.
And
Whether you should
it's
or
mad.
not,
I know.
It's a different thing, but it is amazing. Like I say, a lot of the racers will do. You'll see them do the same. They'll crash, then they'll get up and start walking off, and then they'll collapse.
Yeah, I'll snap my tibia and fibia and femur. Yeah. What? How did you walk on it?
Like hanging off. Yeah.
It is like that, isn't it?
Yeah, you just automatically want to get up. You just kind of go to yourself, I'm all right, and you kind of convince yourself of it.
That's
even
literally what
if
I do.
bits hanging off.
That's literally what I do. If I go out mountain biking, I was out with Gino and Josh Ellett a few years ago and crashed a mountain bike, and I just said, and they were laughing at me because it was a big crash. They were laughing, and I was like, just get up, keep going, boys, keep going, just keep going, because I knew that if I kept going, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped, the swelling just flooded my body, and I was in a pickle. But it is like that, and I guess you just learn to deal with the pain, don't you? I guess everyone's threshold's different.
Yeah, I think so, and it's only like temporarily as well. You think even if you've got to go again, and you know you're still a bit hurt from the first one, you think just again, I just lock into the technique of what I'm doing, just do it again. Do exactly what I'm doing. Once it's done, I'm like, oh yes, please. I hope they got that one.
The Bond flip. Did you have a few takes at that?
I did, yeah.
You said that really hurt. That stuck out.
It did, but luckily that was the second one. So this is Skyfall, where I had to flip. I think it was like a CRF 250 dressed as a police bike, and it was one of those where two of the bikes were. There's three of us crashing all together. Basically, it's a bad guy shooting at three policemen, and. So two of my friends came in and they were crashing first. So one of them was like tucking the front low side, and it was on like dusty marble kind of yeah, like a marketplace thing. So when you're crashing, you're going into all like spice stores and like fruit and veg and all that. And I think there's like a store selling fezzes and stuff. Because when I hit this thing, there's all these fezzes go flying and oranges and everything. It was quite a good thing to film actually. It was filmed out in Turkey. And anyway, the first guy crashes, he low sides. The second bike kind of slides into him. And then they wanted me to kind of get shot and go backwards off the bike, just give it a big blip of gas and literally ghost the bike forwards into this pot and pan stall or something where the bad guy's standing ready to pick up the bike and bugger off across the rooftops and have that whole chase. And so, yeah, we did it the first. It's one of those where when there's three of you crashing as well, you think right, I've got to do this no matter if everything's not right or what. These two guys are going to do theirs. I can't suddenly stop and go, whoa, hang on a second, guys, my bike's not quite, So I kind of pulled my foot away from the rear brake, so I couldn't hit it even if I wanted to save this flip. And then I kind of shuffled my backside to the back of the bike, so it was proper rear end heavy. Yeah. I just had to weave through a couple of people, and then I just literally dropped the clutch as hard as I could and ghosted this bike in. And it made quite a nice shape actually. It literally like backflipped, the bike did straight into the camera. And,
without hitting your mates.
Without hitting my mates. Yeah.
Get in the shot. That's what I mean. There's a lot more
everywhere,
to it.
Oranges everywhere. Yeah. So we did that the first time, and that was cool. They were kind of looking straight on at us from where the gunman's like standing. We did that, and then as soon as they said, yeah, we got that, you guys can take your pads off and stuff, and then you're like, cool, it's done, it's in the bag. And then literally, we're just walking across to get our pads off, and the coordinator's like, oh no, Rick, you keep your pads on and stuff, we're just going to do a pickup. I was like, oh no. And so, because...
What's a pickup mean?
Pickup is like filming part of the scene, but not from the start. So we weren't going to do the crash, because basically we'd shot it one day from this perspective. We then did it a reverse, so from behind me, and I had to go round the camera and flick the bike off into the thing. And on that one, I properly hurt myself. Basically, I came down like on my coccyx and my backside, and I've got this picture of my backside, and it's literally like purple.
Couldn't sit down for a week. Stand
a
up
week. It was like a month. I promise.
You're sleeping upright. Can't lay down.
So then when it was done, I thought, okay, at least it's done. And And then he's like, yeah, keep your pads on. And we had to pick up just the end of it where the actor's going to pick my bike up. So they wanted to do like an overlap where they would just shoot the end of the bike sliding in towards him, but they wanted me to be sliding in towards him. So I had to basically run and then do like a baseball slide on my...
When you're already injured.
Yeah, and even running was becoming... We must have done it, you know, because they were like, oh, maybe try doing this when you pick the bike up, or try doing that. And every time I have to go again because they're changing what they want the actor to do and stuff. I mean, that's just your job, but it was like, after about 4 or 5, I was struggling to even run and stuff. And anyway, we got through it and we got it done. But yeah, you got to expect that you're going to have to go again, basically.
And after the stunt riding career, do you want to stay in the industry in terms of like what we was talking about, like the coordinating side of things? Or
it's definitely not where I've planned to go. Like my whole career, I've said I don't really want to go towards coordinating. I want to perform for as long as I can. And I love motorsports and I love bikes and cars, and so I've naturally kind of drifted towards that area of stunt work, and I think that's one area that you can keep up a lot longer than the other stuff. You've only got so many getting knocked down by cars and jumping off of buildings in you. That's kind of a bit more physicality and age limited, whereas something a bit more skill based, like motorcycle sort of trick riding or any kind of extreme riding, and the car stuff, I think you can sustain your career a lot longer. So yeah, I'm looking just to keep
going, yeah,
until people stop
Rick,
calling me.
75 now, man. Stop. Just
I'll just be like car number 20 at the back that's just asleep, and everyone just has to bang on my window and wake me up to
giving me coffee.
Yeah,
it is like, but like you said, like if you crash properly, like you can do it in a way where I guess you just get better at it, don't you? Like even now when we crash superbikes, you kind of understand what's going on and when it's happening and how to sort of adapt and tuck your body in. Or
I've seen you have a big one at Brands at I think it was Clearways.
Oh God,
you know the one I'm talking. It's on the Ducati.
On the Ducati. Oh,
yeah, and that bit you hard.
But you just literally know.
I saw you instantly like bring those long arms in to make sure you weren't pulling any shoulders out,
or just even wrist, because obviously when you start spinning, when you got mate, long arms or short arms, whatever it is, it can bloody hurt, can't it? So it's kind of like always protecting yourself.
Yeah, it always looks, I reckon when you see MotoGP guys or BSB guys or WSB guys crashing, to outsiders, I think it looks all right a lot of the time. It looks quite elegant. It's just a little tuck and roll. Mate, that tarmac is hard.
It hurts. And it burns. I've burnt through my levers before, literally into my bone. Yeah, and had to have it scrubbed out with a toothbrush. Yeah, it was,
it's not
horrible,
cool,
isn't it? But it's not
cool.
Who do you look up to, like in the movie industry, like in the stunt riding side of things? Like, did you watch like Evel Knievel and be like, what he was doing? Because
I did. I always thought it was cool. Eddie Kidd was a big one for me. Kidd, he was always a big kind of childhood sort of hero to me, and he was actually on the British Stunt Register as well. He did his training and did his disciplines and everything, and so he was working, doing regular stunt work before he had his accident and stuff. And I remember my dad taking me to his live show when I was 7 years old. I had a birthday party at my house, all my friends around and that. And then afterwards, just as a surprise, my dad just took me to a local stadium there, and Eddie Kidd was doing a live motorcycle show, doing big, bus jumps and jumping through fire and all that stuff. And wicked. And then even when I got on the stunt register, you have to put together like a page, like a CV, and you've got like a few pictures to put in there, a headshot and a full body shot, and then like action pictures. And I remember I'd seen this picture of Eddie Kidd wheeling this, I think it was like a TDM 850 or something like that, this bike, and he's like wheeling and pointing at the camera like this as he's wheeling this bike one-handed, and I thought that's cool, I'm going to do that. So I literally copied the exact same thing on I think I was on a WR 450 or something at the time, wheelie past the camera, pointing at the thing, and that was the picture I had in my stunt book. And then cool. I met him a few years ago actually. We was on a job, and he came down to see a bunch of the boys and stuff, and I remember telling him, and he literally pulled out of his bag this picture, the exact picture. He knew exactly which picture I was talking about, this picture of him on this TDM, and he signed it for me, and it's framed and it's up in my office now.
That's
and
cool.
It's very cool, yeah.
Because Eddie's still involved, isn't he, in like the coordinating of stunts and that? Does he still
Eddie
do?
Kidd,
no. Is he completely out of it now?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's still big friends with a lot of the stunt guys. And he's done a lot of stuff for sort of charity and stuff. He walked the marathon course probably it's quite a few years ago now, but yeah, no, he hasn't really been involved in stunt work since he had his accident, which was '97, I think. So there was a bit of a gap between his career and mine.
I watched a program actually about it the other day.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sure it was on like BBC. It was on like one of the main.
Top Gear did a big thing about him and stuff. It was a big special about him. Yeah, very cool.
But it is like the one thing that does transfer, like all the guests that have been on the podcast, like what you have to sacrifice as well, obviously, to do your job. Like, obviously, it's a bloody hard job, isn't it? But like the focus and like the mindset, like when you're approaching a stunt, like it's nerve wracking, isn't it? Like I bet you're nervous.
Yeah,
and
totally.
like you have to
depending
overcome
what it is, for a week before maybe.
And you have to overcome like the nerves, like I guess as well expectation of what you've got to do, because in your head you're thinking, oh my god, like can I do it? Can I do it properly?
Yeah, people think that you're worried about getting hurt, and I never think about getting hurt. That can happen with the most, the smallest little mistake or whatever. I worry more that I'm going to do my job properly, and everything's going to go right, and it's going to look right, and that I've done everything that I can to prepare for it, and that's what kind of stresses me out. Even if I'm doing something, say I was going to roll a car tomorrow, do a pipe ramp or something like that. Tonight I'll be watching 50 guys that have done it before, thinking, okay, and just I don't know. I just want to feel like I've done everything I can to do the best job that I can. Yeah, and I just want it to go right. I just want it to look right. Because a lot of times something like that as well, or especially on even lower budget stuff, you've only got one vehicle. You get one shot at it. It's a lot of pressure, and that's it. And so you just want it to go right.
So you're just prepared, like just make sure you're prepared. And that's I guess like when we spoke to Foggy about how the hell was you so successful, and he just said, I knew that if I was prepared enough, like I'd done the homework on the practice days and everything else, I knew that I would do my job properly. And I guess that's the takeaway thing as well,
very
isn't
similar
it?
to the way I kind of.
It's like most jobs. If you was going for a meeting, if you was in another industry, if you went in there and didn't have a clue what you was talking about, you'd be probably not either win the job or whatever. So it's just that preparation, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's, I guess,
part of it.
And that's like the transfer. And you probably found like across your skill set, that's like with the racing, when you went racing, and it's the same thing, innit? You get that anxiety before you like.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. You feel like every emotion, don't you?
Yeah, it's the same with fighting, because I used to fight as well, like Thai boxing and stuff, and it's the same. The week before, I wish I wasn't fighting. Really, it's got like the worst feelings. It's got like the worst feelings and the best feelings, but you've got to go through those horrendous worst feelings. Same as and I don't know if you guys still get it on the start line and stuff, but like maybe it's gone by the start line.
Start line's gone before.
Yeah, maybe it's before that. Maybe it's when you're getting your gear ready or whatever. I don't know, but you have that time where you're kind of like, why am I still doing this?
Why am I here? Yeah. Why am I here? Yeah.
Because
but I look at it as a process. It's like you just look at it like a process. Like, right, I'm getting in my kit, I do my warm up, do this, do that.
Yeah.
I know what I've got to do, and I'm prepared for it. Some things I can't change, so I can't think about them, type thing. And you just
I guess that comes with the experience that you've got in there.
Nearly 30 now, mate. I'm getting old.
Yeah. Wow. You have to let me know what that's like.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing for it yet. Probably going to have a chilled one. No, I don't know. But I've got a question here. If you could race for one team, who would it be? And you could literally, any series, any era.
Oh.
So if you had, everyone always says 500s, don't they?
Yeah, 500 Repsol Honda. Yeah.
Oh, but
Mick
they're
Doohan
just
teammate. Yeah.
Kill you, them things. They're bikes.
And
big high sides.
I remember Jamie Whittam saying that was the only bike he was ever scared of. I think he was on that KR3 thing, wasn't he? He was on like the
Widowmakers.
Literally, yeah.
They are. They're just because they just had no power, and then
yeah. I don't know. I'd quite like an old maybe Foggy's era 916 Ducati or something. Factory Ducati from that kind of era. It's pretty cool when it was him and Corsa and Frankie Keeley teammates. That'd be a pretty cool team to be.
Have you always watched the racing as well, like that? Like
yeah. Probably from like mid '90s onwards, I was big into the racing. WSB was a big thing at that time, and MotoGP. Rossi was still in like 125s and 250s and stuff, and it was kind of Doohan and those guys that were dominating in 500s and everything, and it wasn't as big a deal really. MotoGP didn't seem to be in this country. Everyone was all about the World Superbikes.
100,000 at Brands Hatch. We spoke about it.
Yeah,
and
like 30-odd thousand at Donington for the MotoGP or whatever it was called at the time, GP 500s, and Yeah, now it's really turned around. MotoGP's great. I love it. I just don't. I just hope it's not going to turn into Ducati Championship
It's
plus a few other
probably
bikes.
got to, yeah. I know. It is like that, though, isn't it? But when you look at the World Superbikes this year, like 2023, like I read a thing yesterday where Johnny said he's going to be battling for the best of the rest, basically, because he's like, because how confident Bautista is, and it's like. Yeah, it must be demoralising knowing, like not knowing because anything can happen, but just to be on that back foot, knowing that Bautista's got so much power.
You've got an advantage, to your rival already, and who's already a world class rider and a world champion. If
they locked in that power, the weight thing, that would have been mega for the World Superbikes.
Do you think so?
I think it'd have just thrown a spanner in the works. I would definitely. Yeah, well, let's say I'm 80 kilos. I race sort of 78 to 80 kilos.
Yeah.
And then like Taron was like 30 kilos lighter than me last year. But I always said with BSB circuits, what I can gain in the corners, I lose down the straights and vice versa.
Yeah, so, I suppose British circuits are quite. There's not a lot of places you'll
I just need to be more aerodynamic.
Top gear anywhere, will you? Really?
I need to just chop a few elbows off. But we are going to. I have got a section of the podcast called a track review. We haven't got a name for it yet.
Right.
Need to get a name. I'm asking the listeners to get us a name. So bear with us on this. But at the minute, it can basically be anything that comes to your mind. You could even say your favourite track is Brands Hatch because you like the cheeseburgers. Not that you eat that because you're a lean, mean fighting machine. So track review. What is your favourite track?
To ride, just any track.
Anything to ride, to watch out, whatever you. Yeah.
That's a really good question. The track I ride the most is actually Mallory Park, and that's where I did most of my club racing and stuff as well. But it was different back then. It didn't have the chicane and all that in it. Yeah, turn one at Mallory is still mega, and I still like going up there to do a load of training. But it's not really used as a racetrack anymore. BSB outgrew it quite a few years ago when they were doing 40-second lap times.
And the super stock were going as fast as superbikes, weren't they? In the end, it was like,
you probably were. Yeah.
I didn't race there actually. I raced the 400 there, and that was it. And I didn't get on well with it. I don't know what it is about it. I've not done a lot of time there.
Track, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I'm trying to learn the Nordschleife at the minute. Like the Nürburgring. Ooh. I'm trying to learn that on the sim.
Yeah.
Ready for going there and trying not to stuff it in the wall or anything, and put in a respectable time.
Are you gonna go there on a bike or a car?
No, car. Oh. Yeah, no, I won't go on
the bike.
Yeah, especially sharing it with guys in fucking supercars and stuff. Yeah, it's not for me. So I'm trying to learn that at the minute. But I was trying to learn it in an F1 car the other day, but it's probably not the best. Probably learn it in like a little Clio or something, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it comes at you
smart car.
Quicker. But I went to the TT last year for the first time as well. That was wicked. That was quite an experience.
Yeah.
So let's just say TT.
Pick it. TT. Track, All right then. And what's your most memorable moment of the TT?
I don't know.
My most memorable moment of the TT is going to the bloody first time I ever went there to watch. I went down to the bottom at the first time they got down the bottom
down Bray Hill.
Bray Hill.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, because we started up at the start line and stuff, and it's a bit weird really because you see them with their families and stuff, and saying bye and everything. And John McGuinness is there and his missus and his kids and stuff, and it's a weird kind of vibe.
It's a weird environment. Yeah. You can't explain it unless you've been there, can you? No, either? Like, it's the strangest thing in the world. And I'm glad I went.
I'm definitely going to go again and try and get there every year. I've always tried to get there, and works and stuff's always come up. But yeah, Bray Hill's pretty special because they're just on the pipe from the start.
Brand new slicks, full tank of fuel. Sat around for a few minutes without their warmers on.
Big tank slappers over the hill. Yeah.
And they're still hooking fifth gear, sixth gear, whatever it is, as they come down the hill, which has got some.
It's pretty special for sure. You got to be a certain rider to want to do that, I think.
I'm sure riding it, you'd feel a lot more in control and a lot more relaxed. When you're riding it. No, not for me.
Not for you.
Not for me. But I think maybe I'd like to do a parade lap and have a little go because I've done a little bit of riding around it with Hickey years ago, actually. And he knew where he was going and I didn't, and I followed him. And I was on an SV650 thing and he was on a blade. It was quite a funny little story, yeah. And we was digging in. Well, he weren't because he was on a blade, but I was full gas on the 650 thing. Yeah. It's not hard. Yeah. It was good fun. So what is your most memorable moment of the circuit, of the TT? What stands out for you?
Probably the same. Like I say, we didn't really explore a lot of it. We didn't.
Getting there,
it's just the whole vibe of the whole place more than anything else. Yeah, strange, but also cool. Everyone's there just for the same. Yeah, everyone's just there for the same kind of thing, and I really liked it.
All right. Well, this is favourite part of the track.
Favorite part of that track? Don't know. I like watching some of the ex motocross boys and stuff doing Aggo's Leap and what's it, Bullock Bridge, is it?
Yeah.
And stuff. It's just it's just crazy. And where did Hillier have his big moment that time?
Oh, that was down at that. There was that.
Was it where it was bottoming out and stuff?
I don't
and
know
he's
the
like
name of the circuit.
both feet off and stuff. There's a lot of
kept it full
spectacular
gas,
places there. You see when they're coming through. Anywhere that looks a bit sketchy, it sounds bad, but that's the spectacle of it. You know, when they're going past houses, it's a different thing. Doing 200 mile an hour, you know, on a racetrack where it's open space, you don't get any sort of reference of speed there. But when you see them zipping past those houses and people's gardens at 200 plus miles an hour,
it's insane.
It's
insane.
another level. Yeah.
I know it is, and it's not for me.
No,
it's literally like they have to put livestock back 2 fields because in case they get out, and it's like, it's not for me. It's just there's too many other things that can go wrong.
There's a lot of variables with it, and
not for me.
You know, stuff's happened before.
And my next question is: any tip for any track day riders going there? Don't go there.
Don't ever.
If you get offered a track day, the Isle of Man TT,
I can't really understand the guys doing the Mad Sunday thing. I get having a little bimble round there, but the roads aren't the place to push anything on your bikes. No roads. Do you know? I don't even ride a bike on the road, to be honest.
No.
I've got a road bike license, obviously, but I never ride on the road for fun. If I want to go fast, I'll go to the track. If I want to do wheelies, I'll go to the airfield. If I want to do jumps, I'll go motocross. There's nothing fun for me about riding on the road with a bunch of people who aren't paying attention. And
mate, they literally open the mountain course one way, and they just literally, you can full send it. They don't have a speed limit, so literally people are going up there.
It's not for me.
And they're watching like John McGuinness go around and Hickey, and they're like, I'm going to do this now. I'm going up to the mountain course. All right, mate, we was up there, literally coming to a corner. Everyone slowed down. Skid marks off the side of the mountain. And literally a guy had just tucked the front, mate, and just lost his bike. Yeah, he managed to dig himself in so he didn't go down, but his bike's so far down. You're like, mate, like,
I don't get it.
Don't do it. Like, if you're not confident, bloody hell, don't go over to the Isle of Man and have a little dig with your mates.
No, it's not. It's not for me. I can't see anything fun about that at all.
And yeah, moving on. Obviously, family man. How many kids you got?
2.
2 kids. Yeah. And what did they think of the job? Like, I guess it's just dad going to work. Type thing, but
it's probably the same with your kids. It's everything becomes just normal to them. You know.
Was your wife? Was you a stunt rider when you met your wife? Did she understand what you did?
I rode bikes and I was training for the register, but we met at a gym in London. So I'd moved down to London to be a PT and to be Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was you flexing as well? Did you kick a bag in front of her?
We worked in the same gym, so we were both working in the same gym, and she used to put me on the same shifts as her. She was the gym manager there and stuff, and it's just like, but so that was a long time ago, and then we had the kids, and I was already kind of on the stunt register by the time we had the kids. So it's all they've ever known, really. Yeah. But I was already training for the register when I met her, so she knew that my whole life was consumed anyway with training and stuff, and
even more so then with
even
training.
More so then. Yeah, I would literally go from like. Gym workout to fencing to trampolining to martial
fencing,
arts,
putting up fences
all in one day. Yeah, you got to make money while you're training to pay for all that training. Yeah,
that is it is mad though.
Sword fighting.
Oh yeah.
I know. Mate, just making sure.
I know, but it is funny. Like, imagine your kids being like, "Oh yeah, my dad's Batman today." Like, it's just incredible, isn't it?
Well, I remember we were doing Batman Begins when he was only about 2 or 3. And his nursery was just near Cardington where we used to film that, and he'd be, Dad's over there filming Batman and stuff.
But the nursery teacher's like, yeah, all right. Yeah. Is that what he tells you? Yeah.
Yeah, and now he kind of took everything not for granted, but in his stride kind of thing. Never made a big deal about anything. And I thought he wasn't really bothered about any of it. But then I had heard him talk to his mates where he thought I wasn't there or couldn't hear or whatever, and he liked it really, the fact that his dad had quite an abnormal job, you know.
But I think kids in general are just naive to things anyway, aren't they? Like,
they think that's what everyone does.
Yeah, like Maya would say to me, "Oh, good luck." Like if I went, "I'm going to work today," like this morning, "I'm going to work today, love you," and she'd say, "Yeah, all right, bye, daddy, like love you," whatever. And if I go racing, it's the same, you know. It's just work to them, and it's
going to work.
Yeah, and I've said to her before, "Do you think it's weird that I race bikes?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "It's just funny their naivety and how they grow up around
that's
it."
True. It's just another job.
So like, you being Batman,
it's quite
it's
cool,
just like,
actually,
that's
that it
Batman.
is like that.
Yeah,
it's quite cool that that's the way they look at it. Yeah.
It is, because other kids are like, what? Your dad rides bikes? Like, my dad sits in an office, or my dad does this, or my dad's a fireman, which is like, they're all equally as cool. But, you know, it's it's
you
just
just
a quirky...
get used to everything, like I say. That's just the way the world is, apparently. That's what kids think, so.
Yeah.
But what's funny as well is my wife's dad was a football manager. And so I think he was at Spurs at the time when my son was really young. He was assistant manager at Spurs, and so we'd go to Spurs every weekend and go to the game, and you'd always, you'd have lunch with the players or whatever, and then at half time you'd go into the little box and you'd have, cup of tea and biscuits and all that stuff. Anyway, so that's what my son thinks everyone does at football matches. So then he goes with his mates to, I don't know, Millwall or something, and he thinks at gets to half time and he's like, we're going for the tea and cakes and all that. He just thinks that's what people do when they go to football matches.
Now get yourself a beer, mate. Oh, don't want one.
Yeah, you might get a hot dog and a shandy. But, it's just quite funny what kids just expect that the world's like from what they've seen. No?
Never been. I need to go and experience it.
Yeah, it's all right for me if you've got an interest in it. Like, because he was with the team, then we wanted the team to win. Aside from that, I don't really watch football. I'll watch a bit of the internationals, that's about it. But no, it's not for me either.
And going back, obviously, like jumping back to the stunt riding thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you work with like higher caliber celebrities. Let's say, like, what is it like? Are they all unique in their own way, or are they quite relaxed in the way they do? Like,
yeah, they're all different.
Intense, isn't it? Like, and they're paid a lot of money because they are expected to achieve a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess
they've got a really difficult job as well. Yeah, I think they have, and they're expected to do a lot of the physical stuff and to almost like overlap into our world a little bit, and because what you can't do is just bring a stunt double in and then just cut from an actor doing this to a stunt double doing this and make it blatantly obvious. Audiences are too wise to it now that that's a stunt guy doing that, and so actors will have to do a little bit of the riding, and then when it gets to the more tricky stuff, then the stunt guy, and the same with fighting and stuff like that, they'll have to do bits to lead into it. Otherwise, you'll take the audience out of it, and they'll be like, that's not him doing that, and you've just lost everybody, kind of thing. But so they do work hard, to be honest. Tom Cruise works really hard.
I was about to say the thing they did the other day. They released that footage of him doing the jump when he practiced, and really cool.
Yeah, and he's super focused and dedicated on what he wanted to do. And the same with when, like I said before about the bike chase on Mission 5. We hired out racetracks, and there'd just be 4 or 5 of us with Tom just going around, myself and Kieran Clark and the stunt coordinator.
Tom picking up on what you guys are doing.
Yeah, Tom just following Kieran, and Kieran trying to give him cues and that in his Derby accent. Yeah. And coaching him in that. And he was really keen, and he was really, if you told him something, if you told him a teaching point or whatever, he'd be literally focused on you all over it and getting you to expand on it, and how's that going to help and everything. And he was just mega into his job as well, which is cool. That's
probably why he's one of the best again, though, isn't it? Like the effort and the intensity, and like we said before, like what's expected of him.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot, isn't it? And obviously
I think so.
There's a lot of...
I couldn't do it. If I've got one line to deliver ever in a thing, I'm oh my god, like I wouldn't sleep for a week more doing that than I would doing a crash, or knowing I was going to get hurt or something. If I've got if I've got to deliver a line,
I've got to say it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's 5 words. I don't. But it is like that. Like the intensity of their job, like that astounds me. Like I always like to look at like what makes them like different, and I guess like his intensity and his work rate. Like you said, like he does some of his stunts himself. Like
and
even that,
himself,
even that practicing what he had to do, like jumping off the side of a mountain on a motorbike. He knew the speeds he had to get, the feeling he had to get. Yeah, it does.
Crazy. A lot went into it for sure. Yeah,
and it's a stressful job, because that whole, if they had a big budget movie, that budget's on him delivering correctly, isn't it? And if he doesn't deliver correctly, the film wouldn't do enough. And it's
a lot of expectation, and you have to be sure that it's cast right. It's the same with when we did the Batman as well. There's a lot of expectation on Rob Pattinson. He was really keen for it not to be portrayed as the Twilight guy in a batsuit. Do you know what I mean? He's a really good actor in his own right, and he was so committed to making sure that he was believable as his character. Batman. Yeah, because everybody wanted to see what it was going to be like, because when something like that, someone's casting one of those characters, everyone's got their own opinion about what he's going to be like or what he should be like, and he's going to be terrible, he'll be this and that. And I thought he did a great job, and that was down to him literally, I've never seen anyone work harder than he did, and be as and be as committed to everything. Turned up to every fight rehearsal, every gym. I would get to the gym in the morning before work, and he'd be in there as well, and everything. And it was cool.
But that's obviously what separates the best, again, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in any industry, I guess what you do is that little extra you can do.
Yeah, if you take it as seriously as you can.
Talking back to the Tom stunt that he had to do, like when he went to the motocross track, they done all these different bits, didn't they? Just so he could nail that jump, and it was
it seemed
it's
like
incredible.
He was doing a year's worth of actual just regular motocross riding and technique and stuff.
But you need that,
a 10-second. Yeah, you need to have that confidence in your bike control and everything, and you have to build that up.
I think you take that for granted as well, being like racer, like current racer, ex-racer, whatever you are. Like, I think you take that for granted because you understand the signals, don't you, of when it's going, or
I'm sure
what you're
you
feeling,
could jump on anything and be like you say, getting signals
skill
from it of what's happening with the bike and weight transfer and this,
Right, well, we are going to jump into now a little quiz that I've set up. 5 questions.
Oh, no.
And it's just, I haven't got a name for this either. I need a name for this.
Right.
But it's 5 questions, and it's really hard because you don't ever want to make it. I don't want to make it too easy.
You don't want to mug me off.
No, but I don't. But no, I don't. No, it's not about mugging off. It's just really interesting. So it's basically like it's 5 questions that I've managed to come up with at different times of my day.
All right.
Which is quite funny. Question 1 is, which stuntman broke 19 world records and set 21 world firsts?
Dar Robinson?
Yep, that's easy. I'd see what I mean. That's too easy.
That's not too
I haven't
easy.
got the. I was going to ask.
That you'd know who Dar Robinson was. I'm really impressed with that question.
I was going to. I was actually going to put the years in there of when he
would have
rode.
been 80s, I guess. Was it early 80s?
I don't know. I haven't got the answer for that.
You haven't got the answer for that. Yeah,
definitely. This is going to be an easy
one.
one because obviously you've just mentioned his name. But what was Frankie Keely's recognisable number?
7.
Yep, 7. Who was Prime Minister 1951 to 1955?
You're winding me up. Neville Chamberlain.
No. 51 to 55. Come on, this is easy, mate.
Is it?
Yeah. Very famous guy. Churchill.
Was it?
Yeah, Winston Churchill. That's what I've got on me on my notes anyway.
I'm not sure that's right.
51 to 55. Check it.
All right, I'll check it. I'll Google that.
How many world championships does Troy Bayliss have?
I'm going to say, it's either 2 or 3. I'm going to say 2.
3.
He had the Alstara one as well, didn't he?
3. And what year did Johnny Ray ride Valencia MotoGP? Do you remember he wildcarded? It was spoke about like most of the season.
Ago. Yeah, was it like 6 years ago? Let me say, what are we in now? 17.
13.
Was
on a
it?
Repsol Honda, yeah. That's long ago. It feels really long ago, doesn't it now?
It doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah.
I knew it was a few years ago.
I can't remember. I'm sure he had a really good weekend on it.
So he rode the Honda. So he would have been on Honda.
Back when he was on the Honda, yeah.
Okay, all right. So after that, obviously, he's had a. Yeah, he's been on that Kawasaki for like 100 years.
It's really hard to get these questions because, you don't want to make it too easy, but then there's certain things.
Good. It's good questions, actually, yeah.
Because I don't know. I wouldn't. Some of the answers I don't know, but I just have to.
I'm a bit crap with years of stuff like that.
I'm rubbish with years.
Yeah, I'm all right with years of like music or stuff because I relate everything back to jobs that I did.
Yeah.
So I think what I was watching that when I was on this job and that was in this year because I know what year every film was. And then everything else just relates back to that basically, but I don't remember the MotoGP thing.
Yeah, it is hard, and I'm like, great, good questions, and I don't like to force them either. So
I'm not sure about the Churchill thing.
Yeah,
and I'm going to Google that.
Definitely
after,
Google it, mate.
I
Yeah,
will, mate.
1951 to 55, and then there was another time period as well. There was like a little gap, and then he went back to it again.
Yeah.
Dipped his toe in the water, cracked back on again.
I'm impressed with your history.
No, Google, mate. The whole thing. But the questions are fabricated by myself, but the answers, thankfully, are on Google.
The answer not fabricated.
Yeah, no, not fabricated. But that's it then, mate. Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
Hopefully we've given everyone an insight into what it's like to be a stuntman, because there's a lot of different industries and jobs out there, and sometimes people don't understand, I guess. And it's kind of like, what interests me is like how good you have to be at your job, like how much of an athlete you have to be, and how that kind of thing is what really is obviously interesting about the job. That's
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than people think.
So guys, make sure you check the credits and films, yeah, 'cause Rick might have been in it. Can't tell you what he's working on right now, secret. But yeah, you're busy with work, aren't you? You're riding and keep yourself fit. Yeah. Yesterday you was on a bike, crashed, didn't you? Do you want to tell us about that?
Maybe. I maybe had a little incident.
Are you hurt? Or are you actually all right today?
I'm all right. Actually, my backside's a bit sore. I went off the back yesterday, and it's the first time I've done that for 10 or 11
years. Don't get cocky, mate. Don't get relaxed and don't get cocky.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
I'll bear that in mind. Thanks. I might write that on my tank or something.
Yeah.
It's actually good advice, to be fair. It's always when you're just feeling it, you're most comfortable. You're like, I am killing it today, and everything was going well. And
respect. It genuinely is respect. I always think that when I'm racing, respect for the track, respect for your bike, respect for the environment.
Yeah, if you don't respect it'll throw you on the floor really hard.
Yeah, and you'll think, what am I doing on the floor here? Oh, my brain slipped to what I'm having for dinner tonight, or.
That 1 second lapse will cost you for sure.
Goner. That happened to me a few times in the past. I'm trying to eliminate that.
It's good. Right on your tank.
But no, that's it then. Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
Thanks for coming in, mate. Thank you for everyone listening and watching. Obviously, be sure to stay tuned in and look out for next week's guest.
Boom, Danny Buchan. What a ride this is, and it is on.